I'm Gloria Strode and welcome to Straightforward. Today we're going to have a very informative conversation with Marianne Young, who is one of our biggest advocates for our special ed children here in Muscogee County. Welcome, Marianne.
Thank you so much.
Well, you have been on a very long journey. It was my pleasure to get to know you at one of the school board meetings. You were there to speak against the school board's idea of bringing in Camelot, which is a private for-profit company to deal with our special needs children and are in the alternative school.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
so you made your position very clear. You are the mother of what, how many, 3 children?
3 children, yes ma'am.
Okay, and then you have one that's,
He has autism and dyslexia.
okay. And so you have also want to dispel the myth. Often it's said that parents are not involved, the parents have fallen short, but you're one of the parents that actually you have been a part of the PTA as the vice president.
Yes ma'am.
And you have been an advocate for other kids throughout the system
Yes ma'am.
because this has been your mission.
Yes ma'am.
It kind of didn't start out that way, but it kind of grew into that.
Yes ma'am.
Okay. Share with our audience why you felt the proposal for Camelot would not be in the best interest of the children here in Muscogee County.
Okay. There's several reasons. Primarily, I think the district has erroneously labeled the problem. So they're saying behavior is the problem. I'm saying behavior is most often a symptom.
Yes.
It's a symptom of children with maybe a learning disability or some other, maybe problems in the home that are not being identified and dealt with appropriately.
Some other social issues.
Correct.
Right. And so a lot of times they're acting out because it's a cover for something else that's going on.
Precisely.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Go ahead.
So that's the primary thing, is that you can't fix something if you haven't defined it, and I don't think they've defined it correctly. And I think that bringing in a private company,
Private for profit.
for profit, yes, ma'am.
Questionable company.
Very
that they've
questionable.
had many lawsuits and issues nationwide.
Correct. I'm afraid that it takes accountability away from the parent. We can't just go down to the school board meeting and complain about a teacher we didn't like there, or we're subject to Camelot's will then, and I don't think that's okay at all.
Right. I think at the meeting also, you and some other parents, because you have 3 children in the school system.
Correct.
And one happens to, you said he has autism and he's dyslexic.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, okay. And so you've been fighting those battles, and how old is he now?
He's 11.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you and some other parents, you were concerned because they were looking at reopening Marshall,
Right.
that supposedly we closed it because of whatever they closed it for, and then they were going to go and put money into that
Yes.
instead of taking that money, put it into other resources,
Right.
support for the kids.
Yes.
And then they were going to put the alternative needs children, the special needs children, and the children who are behind on graduating credits
Right.
at that same facility.
Yes, ma'am.
And you also stated that they were now going to include the younger children.
Yes, they're expanding the AIM program. The AIM program is for children that have been suspended or expelled. They're expanding that to include K1 and 2 now.
So AIM is the alternative school.
Correct.
And so they were, and I heard you speak from the microphone at the school board meeting, that they would be including or looking at including K through 3,
Yes.
which those are babies.
Correct.
And that's where we should be training them.
Yes.
And so how did we get here?
I'm not sure. I wish I knew the answer. I think part of the problem is we've taken parapros out of the classroom. There was never a need to serve K1 and 2 for alternative school before. Why do we suddenly have that need? And the best I can tell is there's a direct correlation to lack of support in the classroom for the teachers.
Right, because that's like the beginning. You're learning how to be a part of a group, and not all children get the opportunity to go to pre-K or some other organized activities, depending on the family income. And that's something else that you shared, is that it's not that the parents are not concerned, because we have some single parents with children in this building. They're working, and many of them don't know how to help their children.
Right. I had to learn, and I know that's one reason I'm out here fighting for so many parents, and it's because I know I'm blessed to be able to stay home and have 40 and 50 hours to invest a week.
40 and 50 hours at the school?
I do it at the school. I do it reading the law, emailing administrators,
helping other families?
Helping other families. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I know everybody doesn't have that time.
Right. And it's not because they don't love their children or they don't care.
Right.
They just, and you were someone that served on the PTA.
Yes, ma'am.
You helped raise money for the kids that could not pay for their lunch. So you're not a Johnny-come-lately. You have been an advocate for all children.
Yes, ma'am.
But you have primarily been on the front line fighting for the children with special needs.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
And so your child, you understood what you needed because you researched about your child's IEP.
Yes.
Okay, so you shared with me some information on that, the difference between the IEP and kind of the 504. So explain to our audience what IEP is.
Sure. An IEP is an individualized education program, and so that's for kids that can't perform at grade level for one reason or another. So for my son, he cannot read because of profound dyslexia, but he's on grade level for social studies, science, but he has difficulty. So he would be pulled out of his regular classroom, or there's many other ways that they can do it, but to receive specialized help in reading to help him get caught up. Children with 504s have a disability, but they're able to do grade level work.
Okay.
So they might just need extra time on a test or a calculator because they can't, do it quickly enough to keep pace.
Okay.
Smaller accommodations, but grade level work.
So that is still something that they can move forward. There is this myth that everything that's labeled will be a barrier for you in the future, and I heard you have a conversation with someone that's not necessarily so.
Right.
Okay.
I've had a couple parents in the district say that they were told, well, we're trying to help your child by not labeling them, as special education. This will follow them forever, and they won't be able to get into college. It's a shame. It's not true. IEPs have to be renewed yearly.
Okay. So it's not an ongoing year after year. You might need it now in, say, 3rd grade, but you might not need it in 5th.
Correct,
Okay.
Especially if you need it for something simple like speech therapy. You are required to get an IEP to get speech therapy at school. But my middle son, he was in special ed solely for speech therapy for about 2 years.
Okay, and so he's moved on from that.
He's moved on, and he's in a magnet program and doing great.
Okay, well, what we're going to do now, we're going to take our first break, go to our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Okay, we'll be right back after word from some of our sponsors. Straightforward is brought to you by Chalk by Quincy introduces Excellence Redefined, timepieces of the finest technology, luxury, and class with tons of style at chalklifestyle.com. Renal Associates, LLC, a team of physicians dedicated to excellent kidney care with 5 convenient locations to serve you. Stark Avenue, Columbus, Bradley Park, Columbus, Lafayette Parkway, LaGrange, East Burkhalter Avenue, Buena Vista, and Springs Street in Warm Springs. Thai Cuisine, the area's only authentic Thai restaurant. Open for lunch and dinner, Monday through Saturday. Located in the Village Green Shopping Center on the 280 bypass in Phoenix City. Apple Tax Services, located at 7413 Whitesville Road, Suite 400A, as in Apple. For professional, efficient, and courteous service, call today at 706-243-2595. Apple Tax Services, a company you can trust.
Walmart's reason for supporting Thurgood Marshall College Fund is simple. We like to win. And we have been given a lot of exposure to some incredible talent. And we also believe that it's a part of our responsibility to the community to give back. This is a great opportunity to do both. It's been a wonderful experience for us through the years. We've appreciated our partnership. We believe in return on investment, and we have definitely had a remarkable return.
Welcome back to Straightforward. I'm continuing this awesome conversation with Marianne Young, who is on the front line fighting for the students in Muscogee County, and specifically those that have exceptionalities, special ed students. So Marianne, you shared with me, just so we can kind of move along, that you had to, even with all of your research, all of your involvement in the school ongoing, you had to go to the state level.
Yes.
Filed a complaint so that you could get the resources that you needed to help your son.
I did. I did. I begged and I pleaded and I sent emails reminding people that the law was very clear and we all knew that it wasn't being followed. And I got tired. And I figured out that there was no amount of begging that was going to get it done.
Really?
And that's one thing that I said
and
to the school board.
And that had to be disappointing because you were active with the PTA, active with your kids, you're a full-time mom.
Right.
And so you've been putting all of this work in, and even being there and present,
yes,
you still could not get the resources.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. I mean, these are things that were actually documented in his IEP. So a lot of the research that you do is just what needs to go into this document that gives your child legal protection.
The individual
education plan.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So once you get it in there, it's supposed to be followed, but it wasn't. It
really?
wasn't. Yes,
so
ma'am.
they were not, it was on paper, but it was
Right.
not being executed.
Right.
Right. And so as a mom, you're standing there and you're looking and you're saying, well, yeah, it looks good on paper, but my child is not getting what he needs because the law says we're supposed to educate all the children, and that's why we're getting the tax dollars.
Right.
And we have certain tax dollars that are supposed to be used for certain things.
Correct.
Right. So even with the special ed, you said there's the GNET and there was something else, and you were just kind of struggling trying to get some type of technology assistance and that kind of thing.
So assistive technology is something that's in the IEP, depending if a child needs it or not. So my son did because he's unable to read. So he should be able to work as independently as other students, like a normal fifth grader would. So since he can't read, mommy doesn't need to be at the table with him every night because
Right.
at some point he's going to be in middle school and high school. He needs to become independent.
Right.
So to do that, the IEP team decided that he needs assistive technology. So that can be a computer or a tablet, and depending on the child's needs, it goes
It
up
could be
from
many
there.
things.
Yes,
Right.
yes. And it could be simple like a tape recorder to record lectures, but my son was supposed to have a computer initially, and then later it got changed to an iPad, but it's specialized software that teachers need training to be able to use, and the training was not happening.
Really?
Yes.
So the teachers had not been trained.
Correct.
So when we were in the meeting at school board and they said we don't have the people that can do this, our opinion is different.
It is.
It's
It
just
is.
that we haven't put the resources and we have not trained the people because we have all of these folks with all of these advanced degrees, PhDs, all of this training. And I know that you can have degrees and not be, you know, the brilliant person.
Yes.
I do know that. But I am also confident in what I know about a lot of the folks that work in the system,
Yes.
that they really do have the ability. They just don't have the resources and the support from the district.
Yes.
So we were going to put $6.4 million into Camelot, which is a private for-profit
Yes, ma'am.
to manage our kids.
It's very frustrating for a parent who's been fighting for not just my child, but other children to get what they need in the classroom, to get teachers trained in all aspects. So there are children with autism who sometimes have emotional behaviors and they need to be restrained, and the teachers aren't taught appropriately how to do that, and that leads to injury for the teacher and the child.
Exactly.
So I wish that they would take that money and put it back into our local community, back into the schools, into a corporation's
and to get the
pocket.
training. And because I do know, as a juvenile tracker, I did work as a juvenile tracker, and we would go over to Forsyth, and they actually trained us the correct way to take someone down if you had to.
Yes.
You know, so if we're going to have all of the things that we're faced with in life, then we need to make sure that people are trained and we have the right people in the right places.
Yes.
The big thing back and forth about the Camelot folks is that if our folks were not capable of handling the job, where was Camelot going to get them?
I don't know. They say that we don't have enough teachers, and I know that that's a nationwide problem, but Camelot did say that they bring in their administrative staff, but they hire teachers locally.
Right.
So there's some inconsistencies.
That's the same pool of people.
Right. So if anything, it creates a competition for the teachers, and in my view, that could be to Muscogee County's detriment because we might lose the teachers we have.
Right, and some people are going to probably lose their job. So at one point, and I ask you this, I used to run a federal learning center grant at Marshall Middle School that housed children from 5 public housing projects. And it was required, because they received Title I funds too, that we had 1 weekend per month where the parents could come in and learn how computer technology, how to use a computer so they could assist their children in homework. Well, in doing my research, I went to the U.S. Department of Ed website, and it says that we must. So here we were, some people were considering that they could even use some of the Title I funds on the Camelot side of the house. I think I heard you say that.
Right. The superintendent said that they were going to redirect some Title I funds to help pay for this, but Title I is specifically for schools that have a large population of children who are socioeconomically disadvantaged.
So
correct.
in lay terms, poor.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, they meet the poverty guidelines. It's not to try to put anyone down, but they meet the poverty guidelines.
Right. So they need a little more help than some other schools would because they don't have the resources at home. So it makes me nervous, but I don't know how these schools would make up their budgetary shortfalls.
Because we live in a world where we have cable. Cable is a luxury, and internet is a luxury. All families don't have that.
That's right.
And so we sometimes forget because we have all of those comforts. Well, what we're going to do is take our final break, go to our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Okay? We'll be right back after word from some of our sponsors. Straightforward is brought to you by Warrior Outreach. Contact Command Sergeant Major Retired Sam Rhodes or Kathy Rhodes. Freedom Printing for all of your designer printing needs. Gunboat Plaza, Suite 18. Zeal in Uptown Columbus, where you can enjoy an intimate dinner atmosphere and every entree is chef-inspired with passion. Dinner is served Monday through Saturday, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Howard Johnson Hotel, 1011 Veterans Parkway, Columbus. For an international dinner experience you will never forget. Zeal in Uptown Columbus. Progressive Funeral Home, family owned and operated since 1952. The George Ford legacy of high standards continues today in the compassionate and professional services provided. A touch of dignity for those who care. Progressive Funeral Home, 4235 St. Mary's Road. Trusted by generations. Best Care, transforming minds and bodies, leading the way in the latest techniques of medical weight loss and wellness. Certified in family medicine and bariatrics, Dr. Blunt is ready to assist in the transformation of your mind and body. Call today, 706-221-6477, or visit bestcarecolumbus.com. East Alabama Endocrinology, educating and caring for those living with diabetes in Alabama and Georgia. 1400 Bradley Lake Boulevard, 3320 Skyway Drive, Suite 602, Opelika. Take charge of diabetes and live your best life.
History is important because it shows where you're coming from and where you're going. Type 2 diabetes is something that runs in my family, which means I'm at risk. In fact, 1 in 3 American adults are at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. And knowing this, if I do nothing, that family history becomes my family's future. And my family is too important to me for that. Take the risk factor assessment today at AskScreenKnow.com.
And welcome back to Straightforward. I'm continuing this very important conversation with Marianne Young, who is one of our biggest fighters for our children here in Muscogee County. Marianne, I know that you are going to be a part of this community advisory board that was suggested. You've been in the forefront. You've been boots on the ground for many years. You've done a lot of the research, so we don't have to just, reinvent the wheel. We need to get some folks at the table that you've advocated for your children, but as for other children as well. And so you're going to be having a series of community meetings with other parents throughout the city.
Yes, I want parents to have the opportunity to have their voices heard, to tell the district what their experience is within special education. And let's keep the discussion going. It's so important for these kids that people have the information and know what to do.
Right, and where they can start. Because as you said, a lot of the parents, they work. They don't have the time to spend 30, 40, 50 hours of reading and researching, and because they're trying to provide a living for their families. And so you are that resource. They can go to you. Of course, we know you are Marianne Young on Facebook.
Yes, ma'am.
And they can catch you, which will be widely publicized as a lot of the community meetings. Do you have an email?
Sure. If you have any questions about special education, you can email me at marianneyoung at mariannelyoung@gmail.com. It's Marianne, MarianneMarianne.L.Young@gmail.com.
Okay, so for the ones that might not have the internet, I know a lot of us, we get so comfortable in our lifestyle. We don't understand that for some people, cable is a luxury and the internet is a luxury.
It is.
And it's not because they are not concerned parents. It's just that if you have a very low income, you have to make choices. It's either the lights, food, or some other luxury.
That's right.
Right. And so again, for the individuals that might want to find out more, you can go to the Georgia Department of Education website, and they have a tab there for special ed, and they can find out more. And what is a law? There's a law that says the children, I think you
There's
quoted.
the IDEA Act. It's
Okay.
the Individuals with Disabilities Educational Act.
Okay.
And it covers all of special education.
Okay.
So they talk about, you'll hear a term often, it's called FAPE, F-A-P-E. It's a free and appropriate education. It's what all children are entitled to under the law, regardless if they have a disability or not.
Okay, and so they can go to the Georgia Department of Education, go to the Special Ed tab, find that information. They can go to the U.S. Department of Education website, and that will give more information as well. Also, you can find out there what should be happening with the Title I money, because I have printed that out. And it's very specific of where that money should be used. Now, they give different percentages and how people can redirect, but your position is we should be putting that money into this system first.
That's right.
Before we hire people from outside to come in and take care of our children. I do know at one point, and I go back to this point, I think I lost it in the other segment, where we had a collaboration with New Horizons. Children that had some emotional issues could get assistance with New Horizons. For those students who they were saying would go to Camelot because they were behind on credits, we used to have academic success. So we closed that. So how can we, and we had night school at Carver for those that were behind on credits. So how could we not afford all of those things and they went away, but then we can find, how much is it?
$6.4 million annually, and that does not include the changes that they'll need to make to the building, so the improvements.
And it's a very old building, because before it was Marshall, it was Spencer, the old Spencer. And so we're not talking about some new facility. And we were talking about putting the special needs, the alternative students, and those that were behind academically, all on the same property.
And K through 12.
and K through 12, which we were going to put babies in because a K is a baby.
Yes.
Right, and so we're still training them. Right. So what should a parent do after seeing this show? What would be step one? Outside of contacting you, if they go to their school, what would be that advice?
I think if you suspect your child has a disability, or you know your child has a disability and they need more help in school, the first thing you need to do is put your request in writing. Address it to the principal of the school and say, my child has X disability, or I feel that my child is too far behind. Please start the individualized education plan. Please do a evaluation, ask for a comprehensive evaluation. The schools must do an evaluation for your child if you ask. And don't let them tell you different.
Okay, because the law protects that.
Yes.
Okay, so the child has rights and the parents has rights.
That's right.
So, and you also have a right to show up at school. All you have to do is sign in
That's right.
at the desk and announce that you're on the property.
That's right.
And you don't have to be specially announced 2 or 3 days in advance, and that's not a bad idea.
Yes.
To go even if it's at lunchtime or if it's a class where you think they're having a hard time.
Right.
Right. Well, Marianne, I am so honored to have met you. I really appreciate you fighting for all children, because sometimes people only care about the children in their social circle. But I believe it really takes a village, and I believe that all children are all of our children.
That's right.
Right. So stay in the fight. We're going to be behind you 100%, and just let us know what we can do.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate it.
All right. This has been Straightforward. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Until next time, be blessed.